Okay, now that we've got a couple of apps running and you actually have a database application under your belt, we look at a couple of things that you can do to quickly finish off your application. The first one is actually using your phone, like what I have right now, as your device for debugging. If you look at my screen, I'll switch to DDMS view. So right now, you'll see DDMS. And you'll also see that instead of the emulator, I now have my Lenovo phone indicated on the list of devices. If you remember some of our earlier videos, we mentioned that the best way for you to test your Android app is through an actual device. Unlike the very slow emulator, you'll notice that anything that's happening to the actual Android phone, in this case, my Lenovo over here, is reflected on my DDMS view. So first, what do we do to be able to use our phone as an actual debugging machine? First, the tools that you need, and you'll notice now that it actually tells you that I've disconnected my phone. So what you'll need is your handy dandy USB cable. It should come with your Android device. If it didn't, then go back to where you bought it and ask for it. All Android devices have their USB cable in the box. If not, you can get a cheap one. Go to CDR King. It's about 50 pesos. Okay. But all devices should have one. Get your phone. Most people won't have this setting. Go to your phone settings. Depending on the device, it's different. In my Lenovo, and again, it's different, so sometimes you have to look for it. You have to look for the settings where they have, or it mentions USB debugging. So this is my phone. I went to settings, and now I'm going to applications. You'll notice that in the options, it says development. And I'll click on that one, and that's where I'll see USB debugging. Okay, by default, this option is off on your Android phone. I'll show another example, this time on another China-made phone. It's a cloud phone. The first one was running on Gingerbread. This one is running on ICS. I'll go to System Settings. And you'll notice this one has developer options as one of the main menu items. If I click on that, it will show the same thing. I have USB debugging. So with both devices, you'll see I turned on USB debugging. A couple of options are available to you when your device is used as a development machine. So with the Lenovo and the cloud phone, for example, you have the options for stay awake so that your phone does not go into screensaver mode. Okay. Because I didn't turn it on, my phone actually went to its screensaver. So I'll turn that on now. Stay awake. Screen will never sleep while charging, and allow mock locations. Mock locations for people who are interested in doing an application that deals with GPS and location tracking. You have to turn that on so you can send fake GPS coordinates to your test device. But the most important option, of course, is USB debugging. When you get your USB cable, when you get your USB cable and connect it to your computer, for the first time, Windows will install your USB drivers. depending on the manufacturer of your device, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. For the Lenovo, okay, so on my computer, I've already installed its USB driver. So you'll notice the moment I connected this to the computer and it was detected, Eclipse already shows me that my device is connected. But you'll notice that the status messages have not resumed. Okay. I'll turn on USB storage so it really creates a connection between the phone and the device itself. Okay, and then I'll select the emulator. So now it's once again processing all of the items on the phone. Okay, so I've turned off USB storage. That's what you want to do when you want to use your device as a glorified flash drive. I've turned it off because I want to get back to the actual phone's interface. So this is set up already if you're doing it at home or you're doing it with your phone. If the installation was successful, you of course would see the USB symbol under Windows. So your device was recognized. If you go to Windows Explorer, depending on your phone model, it may or may not appear here as a drive. And then if you go to your computer's control panel, if you go to control panel and then you go to device manager, you should be able to see so depending on your version of Windows, getting to the device manager may or may not be easy. This is Windows 8, so I go to control panel and it's under hardware and sound, and I'll wait for it to come up. If your driver did not load or your computer says that your driver failed to be discovered by Windows, more often than not, it's on the SD card that came with your phone. So you can search your SD card and it should contain the installer for all the device drivers for your particular Android device. Without that device driver, your emulator or your Eclipse will not be able to recognize your phone. Similar to the emulator, you'll notice I can do some simulations here and actually try to send fake items to my phone. Okay, and then I have device manager here. I'll go back. And go to our old style device manager. If your Android device did not install properly, you should see an entry in this section. Since my Lenovo Android device installed correctly, I do not see its name in other devices. If you see it here, and you'll see that the items listed here come with a yellow warning symbol. That means that the device driver was not installed properly. You can right click on that and let Windows search for the driver. Okay, so you can update the driver, or since I know that my Lenovo device came with its own driver, I looked at the SD card and extracted the driver to my desktop. USB driver. And let Windows search for that particular driver. After installation, the emulator is able to see that particular device. Okay, so now that we have this connected and we know that the emulator can actually see our device, we can pick any of our previous applications. Okay, so I'll just go back to Java View and leave the DDMS there for a while. I'll pick one of the items that I've already coded before. So again, my emulator recognizes my actual Android device. It can still see what's happening. My status shows everything is ready with the phone. I picked one of my previous applications to test with this particular device. When you're testing, of course, make sure that whatever app you're trying to test on the device is compatible with your device. Most of the time, if you have a phone with the latest OS or almost the latest one, like my cloud phone, it's on Ice Cream Sandwich, so pretty much anything that can run on a phone that's 4 or below will run on it. So I'm pretty confident that the app I'm testing will work on that one. Some people make the mistake of making an app for Ice Cream Sandwich but testing it on a phone that runs on Gingerbread only. So I'll test this one here now. I have my project open. Okay, so it says ping pong activity. You can pick any of your previous projects if you're doing this at home. And then I'll click on run. I'll just switch my console to go back to Android. And now I'll click on play. Just like what we do when we have your emulator running. Okay, so similar to the emulator, it gives us the same messages. It actually responds faster. And you'll see now that my phone actually has the database application that we were testing earlier. Okay, so if you gave yourself a pat on the back, well, you deserve it. Because the application that once just ran on your emulator is running on an actual Android device. If I click on the text box, I can enter text and then I save it. It will give me the same toast messages that we were getting when we were testing it. I'll try to enter another one. Same thing. I'll enter a third one and click on the button. So it shows me the result. And then when I click on the second button, you'll see a toast message shown. That tells me that the database is able to give back data to the application. If I click on the second button, you'll notice there's a toast message underneath, which tells me that it was able to retrieve data from our database. I'll try that again. Once again, you get a toast message, again telling me that my app was successful in retrieving data from the database. It also tells me that even with the earlier toast messages, I'm pretty sure now that my application can save data when a user enters text and hits the first button. Okay. So again, give yourself a big round of applause because your application is running on an actual device. I can take it off from USB, although you should do it more properly. I'll bring this back to its original state, open my application tray, and then I can look for it in my applications. Okay, since I have a custom user interface, it actually tells me that I have a new application. It's this one. So it's similar to installing an app as if you went to Google's Play Store and downloaded it yourself, because it actually followed the same process. When I click on this one, so this is my app again, my interface is telling me that I installed a new application on my device. I'll click on that, and voila, we have our Android application. I'll click on the second button because we've used this already. The database has information inside. Toast message appears, confirming that you are not dreaming and that you've actually deployed your first Android application to a real Android device. Again, give yourself a big round of applause, call home, tell them that you're almost a bona fide Android application developer.